Welcome back to the Rugby Oaks, and today we're going to talk about the URC. But George, what a season it has been so far. South African teams, a mixed bag. We've got teams like the Lions cruising, flying up high with 4 out of 4 wins. We've got the Bulls doing really well, apart from a couple of red cards that they've been getting on the side. And the Storms and the Sharks kind of starting to get into the rhythm of things after a tough early tour. George, this week we thought we'd have a little play around, we'd have a little bit of fun, and we'd choose a United Rugby Championship Champions Team. So, the rules are, these are only players selected from the 3 URC winning teams. So, Stormers in year 1, Munster in year 2, and Glasgow Warriors in year 3. Yes, there was Pro 12. Yes, there was Pro 14. Who cares? We're talking about URC since South African involvement. Stick around to the end. There's a couple of surprises in there. Don't forget to subscribe, like, etc. Drop a comment on who you would have had instead. Now remember, it's only the winning team, so I don't want any of those Bulls fans complaining below. I don't want any of those... who else? No, that's it. The only people who have lost is the Bulls, really, out of all the finalists. So, George, let's take it away.
Right. So, starting off with the heavy hitters, the big boys, we're going to start off with the loose head prop of Stephen Kitsoff. I don't think there's any argument there. Stephen Kitsoff has been immense. He was immense through the first season, second season. And yeah, I don't know if you agree with me. What do you think? Are you happy with Kitsy? I'm down with Kitsy.
Yeah, look, we we looked at a couple of other names on there. None stood out other than Stephen Kitsoff, one of the best players to play in position in the URC. That year as well, that scrum was so dominant, and the year after where they lost. But in that championship year, that scrum really led the way, and the resurgent Stormers made sure that they had the platform to have their backs fire, and their backs fired, George.
Oh yeah, the back's fired. And then moving on to the hooker, and now some people might not even know this guy's name, but he's been named the Erling Haaland of rugby, try-scoring machine, Johnny Matthews. So he's from Glasgow. He scored 14 tries in last year's season, their winning season.
14 tries! Well, look, they do have a South African coach, so the mauling line-out was obviously used very well, but 14 tries for a hooker is insane. I know the Bulls hooker, his name, Grubler, scored a bunch of tries as well off the base. But look, what a player. 14 tries, undeniable.
Yeah, you can't not have him in there. He also had the most line-out wins, or successes for that year. So can't not pick him. He's picked himself.
Absolutely.
And then on to round off the heavy hitters, the front rows, we've gone with another Stormer, not biased here, but it's Frans Malherbe. And you've already spoken about how dominant or how good the Stormer scrum was. You can't then leave Frans Malherbe out, the best tighted prop in the world.
You cannot leave Frans Malherbe out. He is the best.
No.
There's nothing more to say about it. Apart from apologies, I will be slurping a little bit of medicine throughout the the video because I have had a bit of a flu. I've lost my voice, and you know what will make everything much, much better, George?
Brunners.
Not only Brunners. If everyone who's watching this hits the subscribe button, but also hit the like button, because that helps us push in the algorithm. Drop us a comment. Let us know who your favorite team is. Let us know where you're listening from. Anything you like helps drive the channel forward. And on to the second row, George.
On to the second row now. We've picked, I'm going to just go about both of them. 2 Munster players who happen to be South African. But it doesn't... They were, the year they won, I mean, they were immense. So Jean Klein at number 4 and RG Snyman at number 5. Jean Klein that year played himself into the Springbok selection. I mean, so you can't leave him out of the mix. Absolutely.
That was a career year for him. Absolutely phenomenal. Ended off in that final. RG Snyman, we had a little talk about before the video and the planning, because obviously Tag Burney started in the final at 5 because RG was injured for like his whole Munster career. But not just because he's South African, but because he came on in that final, and as a Stormers supporters, dominated in the second half. He changed the game. He was unbelievable in that semi-final. And to be honest, I would just want him in my team. RG Snyman.
Yeah, You mentioned Tad Byrne was very, very good, but RG flipped us on our heads. And like we've said, we are Stormers supporters. We're not being biased here. We are choosing our championship side of all time. So number 6, Dion Fourie. He's another Stormer, but how can you not pick Dion Fourie? He had a breakout year that year as well. He was third most turnovers in the 22-23 season. So it wasn't the season the Stormers won, but that season was his even better season.
But in 2022, he's come out of the wilderness from France, playing back row in the second division. He's come home for a little hometown, kind of ease into retirement. He got selected for the Springboks at 37 years old. I think he was at that time.
35 or whatever it was, but still.
He became the oldest debutant Springbok. That's the bare bones of it, which is an insane risk for someone like Rassie to take. Why waste it on someone unless they had a season like Dion Fourie? At the breakdown, a menace. All around the park, a menace. He's an absolute goblin, and he's a hell of a player. And he'd be my first name on the team sheet.
Yeah, I want him. I think he's coming back very soon from his injury as well, which is great. But anyway, we've basically rounded off the back three with Stormers, and it's guys, come at us in the comments.
We're gonna get a couple of pushbacks here,
but it's fine. It's fine. Number 7, Hachiva Diamani. Diamani had, oh my gosh. I mean, yes, he's left the Stormers now, but that we were all kind of hoping he'd make the box, but there's reasons why he didn't. But flippin' hell. He had such a good 21, 22, 22, 23 season.
He was unstoppable. He did come off the bench quite a bit in that first season. He started in the final. He made a bucket-load of meters. He was completely dynamic Daimani. And he was fantastic. And the debate there was Peter Omani, who's coming towards the end of his career, but obviously an incredible player. And we kind of we sat and we debated about, could we jimmy him in, because he plays 6 in Europe, which is obviously 7 for us. So should he take that place because of his leadership, because of how he just runs that team, and he just all-encompassing Munster? I've got an ultimate respect for him. But we looked at the stats, on the URC website, and he didn't really live up to what his kind of aura is. And maybe that's something that dynamic in Munster, but in a championship team, we're going Damani.
Yeah, that's it. And then to round off the pack of forwards, Evan Roos. Most successful carries. Oh man,
he
most
was
successful
so
carries
good,
that year.
George. He was so good, and yes, he loves a yellow card, and yes, he can be a little bit too physical sometimes and finish some players off at the end, especially when he was much younger. But athleticism through the roof. That season was his best season so far in his career. Okay, so
he's still young. He's still young. I think he's 24, 25 years old. I think, maybe even younger. But he's too good. Well, he was so good that year. So this is why he's in the all-time championship team.
He was in that year's championship team, selected by the URC. Let's not forget that.
That's it.
Ahead of the likes of Dwayne Vermeulen, who had a fantastic year as well, and obviously made the final that year.
True.
It's a back line, George. But before we do, if you're still with us, come on, let's have a share, let's have a like, let's have a subscribe, let's drop us a comment. Have we put too many Stormers in? Have we really? Or have the Stormers been the best team this competition has ever seen? Possibly not. Who knows? But let's move on to the backs, George.
Onto the backs, and now people will think this is controversial. I don't think it is. Manie Libbok, leading point scorer in the season they lost the final, unfortunately. He was also most meters gained that year. He was incredible in both seasons, but notably in the 22-23 season. But he just, again, played his way into a Bok jersey again, and he controlled that Stormers backline. He's a little Bok general. He's a Stormers general. You couldn't leave him out. Notable mention to our friend Jack Crowley there at Munster. But he was still a youngster then. But Manie Libbok.
Yeah, look, the most controversial part about that statement, George, is that we're supposed to do number 9, not number 10. However, I agree with you. I agree with you. Manie Libbok, hands down, in that season and the season after, was the best 10 around. Yes, he gets a lot of flack for his Bok career, but you can't argue with the Stormers career. You just can't. Okay? You cannot, at that level, he is elite at Stormers level. Now, let's take a step back. Well, we've mentioned Jack Crowley, and he obviously had that drop goal, I think it was to beat Leinster, which was like a worldie of a thing to bring them to the final. It's amazing. But Marnie, I think the next season he led basically all stats in the competition. So yeah, look, Marnie slots in at 10. At 9, who have we gone for?
We've gone for a Munster boykie, Conor Murray. And like you just said, we mentioned Jack Riley. Conor Murray bossed it at number 9 with a youngster at 10. He's obviously Irish international, very, very heavily capped
Hugely
player.
experienced. And you can't underestimate how much that experience helps a young player in that position thrive.
Yeah.
There's also a little bit here of it probably being the weakest position out of the 3 teams, let's be honest. We had Herschel Jantjies and Paul de Wet, who are decent players, and Tom, who was it? I mean,
it was Horn from Glasgow.
Horn from Glasgow. I mean, seriously,
very good.
Like, he's fine. He's not a worldie. He's not a worldie. No. None of those 3 are worldies. Conor Murray has the talent and has proved he's world class over his career.
Yeah,
I'd select him all day. That season, he was very, very good.
Yeah, he was. Moving on to our wings here. So another Stormer, Leland Zas. You cannot leave him out because he was, and you know better than most, he was top try scorer the year when he was injured for most of the bloody season.
Well, no, he got injured just towards the end of it. Missed out on the final, unfortunately. Was replaced by Sergio Peterson, but he was top try scorer. He was the closest he'd come to getting a box shirt since probably 5 or 6 years earlier when he was with the Stormers and had that electric season. He hasn't stopped since then. He's always been that great player, and he's a poor man's Mapimpi, right? He does the same kind of thing. He's really powerful in his run. He pulls the defense wide and then he cuts in at the last minute. But he's got that offload that maybe Mapimps doesn't have. He's a hell of a player, and one that injury just killed his Bok momentum. I'd have him over the no-name brands in the other team, let's be honest.
He's Leland Zas, baby. He's too Zas to leave out. So, centres.
Ooh, this is an interesting one.
2 Glasgow Warriors.
Ooh,
Sione Tuipulotu. Yeah, they're both. Well, one of them is definitely not very Glaswegian. Sione Tuipulotu.
They're Scottish through and through.
That's the most Scottish name I've ever done.
Sione Tuipulotu.
And then Hugh Jones.
Former Stormers. Do we count him as a Stormers player too?
No, we can't. But those 2 together are devastating for Glasgow and also devastating for Scotland when they're not playing the Springboks. But yeah, those 2 centre pairing, the year they won, were so good together.
I would love them both to play for the Stormers. I'm nothing against our 12s, but they are fantastic. Tuipulotu is a game breaker, and Hugh Jones he can't stop scoring tries. If you get him that ball, he's got an eye for the space. He's proven over really 10 years of his career. He was just part of that 2014 Western Province winning Currie Cup side.
Yeah.
Over quite a long career, that he's just a quality 13. Just to mention, Damien Willemse started at 12 in the final because of an injury to Dan du Plessis, but don't get too excited because he might still feature. Onto the other wing.
The other wing, now, another Stormer, who had an incredible year, and unfortunately, just due to injury, the rest of the year didn't go his way. But Siobela Senatla, so quick, so good, scary. When you see him get the ball in his hands, you think, oh crap, this guy's got wheels. Found his way over the try line many a time. He was one of the top try scorers as well that year.
You can't not pick a guy with that wheels and that eye for the game. You know, his Blitzbok career was elite, even though he only spent half his career at the Sevens game. He's still one of the top stats for tries, for meters, for everything in the sevens game. He's moved over to 15, and that was the year he kind of like came of age, and we'd been waiting for it for so long, and he scored tries and did everything. And then the next year he got that horrible injury, he'd been cleared out, like, head first in a ruck, taking him out for basically 2 years, which is horrific because that was his last probably window for Springbok. I mean, we're so blessed with wings. But Russie loves an ex sevens player, and Siobela Sonatla, who's only just coming back now. That's
to insane. Be fair, I didn't think he was even going to return to it. I thought he was done. I thought he was that badly injured.
He chopped the dreadlocks off.
Oh,
so
but he's beautiful.
You can't be fast enough to get dreadlocks off.
No, come on, he'll be fine. But I honestly thought his career was over. I thought that injury was career-ending injury.
It was horrific.
Yeah, but anyway, he's coming back into it, so I cannot wait to see him back in the team. Where's he going to slot in? We will see. And then to round off our championship team of all time, Damien Willemse, fullback. Look. Fullback. Look, like you said, he started at centre in the final that we won, but he chopped and changed Warwick Gallant also. Gosh, he had a bloody hell of a season.
It's good to note here that Warwick Gallant was the second choice when we were debating. So there was no denying that it would be a Stormers player. I wonder why. But those two are world class, or certainly elite level at the URC. Damien, we know he's world class. He started a final at 15. I'd have him at 15 all day. If you're starting Mani at 10 and you've got Tupulotu at 12, I mean, you need Damien on that field. You want him on that field.
Absolutely.
So you'd pick him, and that's why he edges out Gallant. If Willemse was at 12, say Tupulotu didn't have a great season or what have you, Damien would have gone there, and maybe Gallant would have been at 15. So honourable mention to him.
There we go.
So what do you think of the team, guys? It's let's run through it very quickly. We've got Kitsy, Johnny Matthews, Mel Herber, Jean Klein, RG Snyman, Dion Fourie, Chiva Daimani, Evan Roos, Connor Murray, Mani Lebok, Leland Zas, Sione Tupulotu, Hugh Jones, Siobela Sonatla, and Damien Willemse. Who do you think we've missed out? Leave it in the comments. What do you think this team would do in that competition? Would they be able to win something like a Champions Cup? It is an all-star team just of winners. Please, again, if you're still here and you're looking to type Bulls fans, please, it's only for winners only. Maybe next year you'll be on the list. But for now, that's all from us. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like, and share with your aunties and uncles.
That's a belief.
Bye, guys.